Picture your protag beaten, bruised, and left for dead. They have hit their bottom and there is no hope left. Or is there? In this lesson, we're talking all about the inner gateway, the moment when your protag finds the hope they need and takes another shot at their goal. And throughout this lesson, we'll cover what the inner gateway is, outline its two main components, and how the inner gateway might be the secret to fixing the ending of your story. This video is a lesson from a full free mega course on our website. If you're ready to supercharge your storytelling, click the link in the description and start your journey today. This video is also part of a series, so if you haven't watched the previous videos, there are links down below. So your protag has just spent some time at their lowest point and probably got some advice from another character. This sparked some neurons in the protag's brain and made them think, wait a minute, maybe I can still achieve my goal. And it's in the inner gateway that your protag undergoes this great internal change and recommits to their goal. The inner gateway is the 12th step of USL and is a moment, meaning it usually lasts one scene and one location. In fact, it usually lasts less than that and is often just the final shot of the last rock bottom scene. The inner gateway is somewhat synonymous with the epiphany. So if you hear terms like the aha moment, the moment of clarity, or the come to Jesus moment, these could be referring to both the epiphany and the inner gateway. Usually, the inner gateway is the moment everything clicks into place. The protag is led to the epiphany during rock bottom, and then the epiphany finally clicks in the inner gateway, where they embrace their need and recommit to their goal. The inner gateway splits Act 2 and Act 3 and marks a turning point from negative to positive. This leads us to the two main components of the inner gateway. The first is a great internal change, and the second is a recommitment to the goal. To start, the protag will usually undergo some sort of epiphany where they realize their flaw is holding them back and they must embrace their need. One of our favorites is in Moana, when Moana realizes that she isn't just a follower, but a leader and a hero herself. We broke this down in detail in the extended version of the lesson on the epiphany. Moana realizes her flaw of self-doubt and embraces her need of self-assurance. And this great internal change is the first component of the inner gateway. The second component is a recommitment to the goal. In the break between Act 1 and Act 2, the outer gateway, the protag first committed to their goal. They then spent Act 2 trying and failing. Here, in the inner gateway, in the break between Act 2 and Act 3, the protag will then recommit to their goal, leading them to achieve it in Act 3. This can take many forms, ranging from a determined look to a clear action. In Get Out, it's this single shot of protag Chris looking at his ripped chair, which makes sense in the context of the film. In Moana, it's Moana diving into the ocean to retrieve the heart of Te Fiti, officially recommitting to her goal of delivering the stone to its island home. Most times, there is an implication that the protag understands the steps they need to take to achieve their goal, and this may be the first of those steps. Also, most of the time, they happen in this order: great internal change, then recommitment to the goal. When you look at these two components, you may notice something. It relates to the A story and the B story. We mentioned over and over that the A story is external and the B story is internal, and they work together to create your story. Well, notice that the recommitment to the goal is very external, and the great internal change is obviously internal. The first is related to the plot, and the second is related to the theme. The first is physical, the second is psychological. And it's no coincidence that these are the two essential components of this moment, because the inner gateway is the moment your A story and B story finally come together. Until now, they've been running along separately, but here they smash together. It's the moment your protag realizes that in order to achieve their physical goal, they must make a psychological change. It's a fusing of the internal and external. And a reminder, this great internal change will be the moral or lesson of your story. You can write it out like this: before you, external goal, you must internal change. For example, in most romances, the lesson is, before you can love someone else, you must love yourself. RuPaul once more hitting the heart of story structure. To practice, try to write a statement like this for your favorite story in the comments down below. We should also mention what happens in stories with a non-epiphany epiphany. To recap, these are stories with almost no B story, meaning no large internal change during the inner gateway. Here, there will still be a recommitment to the goal, but instead of an internal epiphany, you can imagine a more external epiphany. This is usually a realization of how the protag will achieve their goal. In our example from Predator, this is when Dutch realizes the predator can't see him while covered in mud. In most murder mystery stories, this is the moment the detective realizes how all the pieces fit together before rounding up the suspects and delivering the big speech. Finally, let's cover why the inner gateway might be the secret to fixing the end of your story. This is a highly underrated moment because most writers don't understand its power. The secret of the inner gateway is that it marks the shift from negative to positive. And not only that, it marks the shift from the protag's lowest point to their highest point. This is a huge turning point in your story, and it should get your audience's heart racing. Creating a clear inner gateway will ensure your audience notices this huge shift and feels anticipation as the protag climbs back up to victory. It also ensures the lesson won't be lost. Without it, you risk leaving your A story and B story unconnected, and risk the audience missing the importance of this monumental shift. That brings us to the end of this lesson on the inner gateway. You should now understand what this moment is, how it contains a large internal change and a recommitment to the goal, and why it's so important in marking the end of your story. But if you really want to get to the inside of the inner gateway, the extended version of this lesson covers why the inner gateway is so important to modern storytelling, a variation of the inner gateway that's used more often than you think, and then brings it all together with an in-depth breakdown of the inner gateway and the 2018 romantic dramedy Love, Simon. See you there.